some stones have been placed on the structure of a temple in Lebanon, which leave the human mind stunned. Each stone weighs as much as 3 blue whales, and amazingly, they were not only cut with great skill in one piece, but were also transported from a distance of 1.5 kilometers, that 2,000s of years ago. But the mystery is that till date, no such civilization of humans has passed which is famous for cutting such large stones. Has there been any such civilization in history which had the knowledge that we do not have today? To examine the origin of these stones, a team of German archaeologists started excavations at the stone quarry from which these stones were brought. There is still an incomplete stone there, which is said to weigh 1,200 tons, which is about the same as 4 Boeing 747s. After digging here, archaeologists found some evidence underground that is quite hard to believe. Welcome back to the InfoX TV videos. Don't forget to subscribe. Viewers, there is a city called Baalbek in the east of Lebanon's Bekaa Valley, where people from all over the world come to see some ruins of the Roman Empire. But the interesting thing is that these ruins visible from above were built during the Roman Empire, but underneath it, archaeologists have found some evidence that has no connection with the Roman Empire, at least not yet. There's a temple built by the ancient Romans here, which is called the Temple of Jupiter. This temple is still the best example of the architecture and craftsmanship of the Roman Empire. But under the construction of this temple, a foundation of very large stones has been found. First, it was believed that it was not in one piece, but rather small stones were skillfully combined to make them look like one. But after various tests, it was confirmed that it was nothing more than a single giant stone. These stones, which were later named trilithons, are each 62 feet long, 14 feet wide, and 12 feet thick. Surprisingly, just one stone weighs 900 tons. Cutting such a large stone into an accurate block and lifting it 30 feet high was probably the first time in human history. If we want to estimate the size and weight of these stones, each stone weighs 900,000 kilograms. That is 1.5 times heavier than the world's heaviest ship, the Antonine of A and 225 Mary, and 10 times larger than the largest stones used in the construction of the pyramids of Giza. Despite their enormous size, these stones were somehow transported from the quarry about 1.5 kilometers away and then placed on top of the 400-ton blocks of the Heliopolis complex, on top of which the walls of the complex were later built by placing smaller blocks. The accuracy with which these stones were cut and joined is truly extraordinary, especially for an era when it was difficult to imagine modern machinery because there is not even a paper-thin gap between them. When looking at Roman structures, their focus was on beauty. They wanted to show off their construction skills to the world. However, on the contrary, the trilithon was not placed here to show off, but to bury it, because this part of the foundation was previously buried underground. After seeing this, a question comes to mind. If a civilization accomplishes such a great feat, why would it hide it? Why is there no mention in Roman documents of the ancient Romans, who were known for their record-keeping skills, of bringing the trilithons from the quarry and lifting them? This shows that the construction of this site was not entirely done by the ancient Romans, but they built their temple on top of a foundation they had built. Moreover, according to historians, the largest crane the Romans had could only lift 60 tons, which makes it highly unlikely that they could have lifted these 900 tons of stone. And the Romans used to make special shaped holes in the middle of the stones they lifted with the crane, which are called Lewis holes. But we do not find any such holes in the trilithons. If there is no record of the common engineering techniques of the Romans about cutting, lifting, and bringing the trilithons here, then who did this work with such skill? Who built the original foundation of the Temple of Jupiter? The other stones of the Temple of Jupiter are aligned with the finishing, while the trilithons are not finished, and the effects of wind and sand erosion on them are clearly visible, as if they had been lying here for thousands of years. Many historians believe that keeping all these things in mind, the trilithons are not from the era of the Roman Empire, but are 12,000 years older, that is 10,000 years older than the Roman Empire. What is considered impossible to do in today's modern era? Which civilization did it at that time and how? This is a mystery that archaeologists have not yet been able to explain. It is not only the trilithons in Baalbek that baffle the human mind. Such large stones can be seen at many places in the compound of the Temple of Jupiter. Look at this 800-ton stone next to the stairs. It is not uncommon to move it. Then we come to the south wall, where countless blocks weighing from 400 to 800 tons are found. Some are above ground, while others are underground. No one knows how deep they are in the ground. The fitting between them has been done very neatly, and this line made on the border is hidden by even a millimeter. After seeing this work seems even more complicated. There are some strange marks on the surface of these stones, such as those made on stones by modern mining machinery. The length of these marks is about 10 feet, and they're completely parallel to each other. When it comes to the tools of the ancient era, none of them can make such marks. At least, there is no such tool in the records of historians. Such tool marks have also been seen on the stones of Yinshan Quarry in China. There's a 16,000-ton stone block here, which has markings exactly like the Baalbek stones. Similarly, similar markings have been seen in the ancient city of Petra in Jordan. This city was also built by cutting the rocks of the mountain at least 2,300 years ago. If compared, these markings are the same as those of modern machinery today. That is, in ancient times, there was such a technology that could cut stones like modern machinery. But obviously, there is no solid evidence of this yet. Now, historians come to the quarry from where these Baalbek stones were originally brought, including the trilithons. The Baalbek quarry is about 1.5 kilometers from the Temple of Jupiter and is a limestone quarry. Some half-cut stones are still there. This is all the more surprising because these are the largest stones installed in the Temple of Jupiter and the complex. This half-cut stone in the quarry is known as the Pregnant Woman. There are many stories about how it got its name. 68 feet long, 40 feet high, and 40 feet thick. Its weight has been calculated at 1,200 tons by area. This stone is lying on one finger while its lower part is still connected to the quarry stone. Whoever cut it in this shape did not get a chance to separate its lower part and probably had to abandon the work in the middle. Otherwise, we might have seen this stone today at the site of the Temple of Jupiter. The bottom of this stone still bears the same type of marks that have been seen on other stones of the Temple of Jupiter. A model of the Pregnant Woman stone has been placed in the Jungfrau Park in Sweden, around which some models of modern cranes have been erected. The only purpose of showing this is that if the Pregnant Woman stone has to be lifted even today, about 20 cranes can do this work together, and that too only when there is space to erect cranes for 50 to 60 feet around stone. Earlier, the Pregnant Woman stone was half buried underground, but in 2014, a team of archaeologists excavated here and found that it was also separate from the quarry underground. Only the bottom of this block is still connected to the quarry today. That is, due to lying like this for thousands of years, the clay layer had buried it underground. Scientists believe that only 1 inch of the clay layer accumulates between about 80 and 100 years. If you look at the old walls of the Pregnant Woman stone, it is about 10 feet deep or 120 inches. So, if 1 inch is equal to 80 years, then 120 inches would take 9,600 years to accumulate. About 10,000 years. It is quite difficult to think and understand that humans were able to do such challenging tasks so long ago in the Stone Age. When excavations were carried out for this stone in 2014, another surprising thing came to light. Another hidden stone was buried in the ground right next to the Pregnant Woman, which, according to estimates, weighs 1,650 tons. Known as the Forgotten Stone, it is the largest stone block in the world extracted from any quarry. This is only the part of the block that is visible from above. Nothing can be said about how deep and what is hidden inside the quarry. This stone has become a mystery to today's scientists, including engineers and archaeologists. This is because the methods used to cut, transport, and place it in the exact right place do not seem possible for any known ancient civilization or even today's builders. In addition, the journey from this quarry to Baalbek is not only uphill due to the mountain, but also quite steep. There is also no evidence that a straight path was built in ancient times to transport these stones, which would have made it easier to pull the stones. Not only that, how could these heavy stones have been lifted so carefully after being delivered to the Baalbek site? Even if it is assumed that the ancient builders used a pulley system, there are no marks on the stones that indicate the installation of a pulley system. These giant stones of Baalbek give us an indication of an ancient civilization, that era when humans were quite tall and their bodies were as strong as giants. Various religious books like the Bible, Quran, and Hindi scriptures also mention such humans who were quite tall and strong. They had powers that superhumans have in some fiction movies. They have been given different names in different books, like in the Bible. They're called Nephilim. Somewhere their height is said to be 450 feet, somewhere up to 100 feet, and for these civilizations, perhaps lifting the stones of Baalbek was not such a difficult task. I hope you will like and share this video of InfoX TV. Thank you very much for your precious time. See you in the next wonderful video. Take care.